we're working at this pretty good company. We're making good money. But it just didn't seem like it was enough. We didn't know what we wanted to do, but we knew that we wanted to start something together. And we knew that we wanted to do something that actually like impacted women in some way. So when we launched in 2017, there weren't a lot of funds or investors in Palestine. I'm pretty lucky to be here, like to be in the Middle East as an entrepreneur, as opposed to being a woman entrepreneur in Silicon Valley.
Welcome to Seedstars podcast. Seedstars is an organization that aims to have an impact in emerging markets by supporting the local entrepreneurs, investing in their ventures, but also sharing their story globally because we really believe they are the true heroes. We'll be listening to them and other thought leaders and disruptors that are really shaping the future of tomorrow. And we hope that together we can build a sustainable impact.
Hi, I'm Anya Richmond, a beauty entrepreneur based in Geneva, Switzerland, and a huge supporter of Seedstars' mission. Today, I'm interviewing Christina Ganim, co-founder and CEO of Ken's Women, a direct-to-consumer business selling lingerie and brands in the Gulf markets. Christina is based in Palestine and is here with us today. I'm very excited to speak to you. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining this. And we are really, really looking forward to exploring more about how you came up with Ken's Women, your journey as an entrepreneur, and any advice you can share with people that are on the same journey as you. So you were born in Jerusalem.
Yes.
And that's where you grew up.
Yeah, I grew up in Ramallah, which is 20 minutes north of Jerusalem.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your childhood, a little bit about your family.
So basically, I was born in Jerusalem, and we moved to the US when I was quite young, actually. It was during the height of the first Intifada. So basically, it was, the political situation was very tense, and my family wasn't sure it was the best place to continue raising us and my brother and sister. So we actually had the chance to move to the US, and we lived in North Carolina when I was much younger. And but there was always something that kept drawing us back to the region, and constantly, like, my father wasn't extremely happy in the US. So we actually decided to move back. And
how old were you? How old were you when you moved back?
I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
So quite a difficult time to move back from North Carolina to a place where you mainly didn't have friends. You started school again.
It was a transition, but we would come visit from time to time in the summers. And but I was always, like, I even say, when I think about my life and my previous experiences and my journey and what's gotten me to this point, I really had no problem just picking up and leaving and moving somewhere else. And maybe that's contributed to the fact that I do have my own business now, because just the idea of starting something new was always exciting to me. And I wasn't, I was, of course I was going to miss my friends and, my routine and everything. But at the same time, I was so excited to see what else was out there and to, have new experiences and meet different people and see different parts of the world. And so it was a big change, but it was also, like, exhilarating at the same time.
So you moved back at the age of 15. Mm-hmm. You're studying in school. What takes you to the next step? What takes you to university back in the US?
Well, I was going to an American high school here, and it had a lot of different programs affiliated with universities in the States. And so basically it was just more so, I would probably get somewhat of a scholarship or something. So I I decided to apply to several universities in the U.S. and I decided to go to school in Chicago at DePaul University because at the time my brother was living there and he was working and studying there, and so I did want to be somewhat close to like at least one family member. So I decided to go to Chicago, and again, the idea of moving to a very large city, I had never been to it before, was something I really, really couldn't wait to do. Like I was so excited at the fact that I would be living and going to school in one of the biggest cities in the US.
And what did you study there?
International studies, politics, and women's studies. So quite different from what typical, founders, I think, study. Like I didn't go the finance route or the business route, or I was very much keen on doing something that I felt had impact, perhaps by working at the United Nations or, at a non-governmental organization or, somewhere where I felt like I was like working on the ground and having an impact and changing the landscape of the political situation in Palestine, actually, because it was very important to me, the conflict, growing up in it, living it, experiencing it. My family also being, somewhat political or politically aware, and making sure that, we understood growing up just, basic human rights should be afforded to everyone.
Which is what kind of led you on to go to London and also study international law, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you've gone from that and having a huge passion and personal interest in this area, and fast forward several years, and you are now the co-founder and CEO of a very fast growing e-commerce business selling women's lingerie. So walk us through how you've gone from one area to the other.
When you say it like that, it sounds kind of crazy. I was always interested in starting something new. Of course, I'm still extremely passionate about what I studied in university, and I feel like it gave me the foundation and background for, solidified my beliefs in life. I still felt like it wasn't enough, and I felt like there were other things that I could be doing, or I should at least try to do. And so after I did my master's, I was actually having a hard time finding a job. And so I had all of this education, I studied, and I was just, kind of frustrated at the fact that it was so difficult to get a decent job. And I couldn't really find something with what I studied. I applied to several things, or they said I didn't have enough experience, or you needed to intern for a long time. And, nothing was extremely appealing or calling to me.
But you did come across a couple of things. You've had some interesting jobs before you started Ken's Women.
Well, I think it kind of like one thing led to another that, continued to push my exploration and trying different things. And so I started working on a documentary on Palestinian women race car drivers.
Amazing. I didn't even realize that existed.
The film is called Seedstars, so you should definitely check it out.
I will do.
Again, I didn't have experience in film or, documentaries or anything, but I met the director in Palestine, and she was looking for someone to kind of assist and help her figure things out along the way. So I did that for, I think it was about 2 years. It was just amazing because I was just thrown into this situation where I really had to figure things out. And I really liked the idea of of working with the women that we were filming. They were just like super interesting, super passionate, super driven. They were defying all stereotypes of what maybe a Middle Eastern woman, someone in the West would have of a Middle Eastern woman. And so that was also very appealing to me. And I wanted to be a part of that journey. So I did that for some time, and we worked on that until the movie was launched and it debuted in film festivals and it won awards. And it was one of the first times that I actually worked on something from, I helped work on something from start to finish, and I saw it through. And I really enjoyed that experience. I enjoyed that journey.
And you mentioned that you had to learn things for yourself. You were sussing things out. What kind of things are we talking about? Give us a few examples.
Well, a lot of times I was asked, because we didn't have a lot of people working on the film. We used to say it was like guerrilla filming, because we were kind of just like running around and chasing these girls and filming them ourselves. So the director was actually holding the camera and I was holding the boom. And I'm not very tall, so I was always trying to like reach high up to reach their voices. And I mean, that wasn't a role that I should have had. But no, I mean, it was just, learning how to use different software on computer to edit the footage, just interviewing people, actually. So I would also end up interviewing a lot of the people that we were filming. So it was just, just kind of being thrown into something and figuring it out was challenging, and I enjoyed the challenge.
So you've probably picked up quite a few skills from your time working on the documentary.
Yeah, pretty random skills.
And they've probably been incredibly helpful with your journey at Ken's Women. Quickly, before we get to how you started Ken's Women, you did 2 other jobs, I see, both of them in the digital space in the Middle East.
So I was also working at Souktel, which is a mobile tech company. I was a project manager there. And basically, we were working with huge aid organizations, or the UN, basically, and they were using our software to reach out to their beneficiaries. And it was really to help people in emerging markets, like specifically, we were targeting Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East. And they were using our software to reach out to them on phones that were not smartphones. Basically, they're called dumb phones, is the standard term for it. And basically like sending them surveys or job opportunities through a job platform, but it was through SMS. So all of the technology was through SMS, and that was that was probably my first like real office job, and that was also something new and a lot of things I had to figure out. I was learning from the very beginning, even basic Excel skills that I didn't really develop before that.
Which I'm sure you need a lot now.
Yes. I think I'm still Excel is still very complicated, and there's still so much to learn on it. But that kind of gave me like the foundation of those like technical skills that I didn't have before. Just like using to-do list software management platforms, and working with a team and also being accountable. Because I was actually a manager and I was managing 10 projects. Some of them had budgets of, several $1 million. And, it was a bit intimidating when I first started. But I think...
intimidating how? Because it was new, or intimidating because you didn't feel you were experienced enough?
Yeah, maybe I felt like, especially when I first started, I didn't have all of the experience that someone would have starting a job like that, and just kind of like learning everything. But of course, asking my colleagues for help and guidance, and And so it was really the first time that I worked in a professional setting, like a very professional setting,
Right.
and on a team.
And then and then you moved to WAMDA, right, as a contributing writer.
So WAMDA, I was just doing part-time, and so I wrote a couple of articles. Like,
and just to explain to everybody what WAMDA is, it's an online platform, correct, to support entrepreneurs in the Middle East.
Yes, exactly. So they wear many hats. They have an investment leg. They have this kind of like news website also, where they report on things that are happening in the region for entrepreneurs or new businesses or new investments happening or new deals closing. So they have this like media side to them. They have the investment side to them. And I think they're also launching an accelerator, or they might have already, I think, launched an accelerator to kind of help entrepreneurs that have ideas that haven't launched at all. I think it was like pre-seed. So yeah, they do several things, and so I was writing for them, and also for a couple of.
Sorry, and what would you write about, for example?
So I was. So I mean, maybe I should backtrack a bit. The reason that I learned about WAMDA is because I started learning about the tech and entrepreneur scene in Palestine. And I, was kind of gaining interest in it. And I had a couple of other friends that were starting their own businesses. And I didn't know
what kind of businesses were they starting?
So one was doing a startup for real estate analytics. To kind of like, they would tell you where is the best place you should invest your money in if you want to buy property, for maybe to put it on Airbnb as a rental. And then there is another one that is a travel booking site, kind of like the booking.com of the Middle East. And a few others. They were launching these ideas or these projects at a time where there wasn't a lot of this going on in Palestine. And I was just interested to, again, learn more about something new that I didn't, have a lot of experience in. But my background in Souktel kind of also paved the way. That's when I started attending different meetups and, meeting these people, meeting entrepreneurs in Palestine, and learning about what they were doing. And I found it super interesting.
And this is really your springboard for Ken's Women, and what kind of spurred you to start your own business.
Yeah. And I mean, actually, before I did that, I took a course online in mobile application development, and I to kind of learn about the business side of publishing apps on the App Store. And I launched 3 apps actually on the US Apple Store, and they were all games. I basically outsourced the work. I hired a developer in India. I hired a graphic designer in the UK, and I launched these 3 different games, and I got over 100,000 downloads.
Wow! So the entrepreneurial spirit comes way before Ken's Women started. I'm guessing some of this money was used to actually kick off your idea of Ken's Women.
Yeah, I mean, I kept it in savings, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next, but I know that I didn't want to keep doing the apps. I just kind of wanted to like learn about it, because it was kind of when so many apps were, it was the kind of the craze, there's this new app. I mean, obviously still now we're always downloading apps, but I think I was at a bookstore, and I saw a book on like creating a business of launching apps, and I found it super interesting. I read the book in a few days, and I said, I want to do this.
And so you did it.
Yeah.
So did you also find a book on starting a D2C business or lingerie in the Middle East? Or where did that idea come from?
So there is a book. It's about it's called The Secret Life of Lingerie, I think, or I think that's the title, and it's about lingerie, the lingerie market in Syria, and how women were actually, like, the concept of lingerie isn't a taboo thing that maybe Westerners might think it is for this region, and it's very much celebrated, and women love to go and shop for lingerie, actually.
It's got that, I think, as a region, it's got the highest sales per capita of any region.
Yeah. You mean in lingerie specifically?
Yes, in lingerie specifically.
Yes. Yeah. And it was always interesting. Like, you would be walking through town and you would see, like, bras and underwear just like hanging out in the street or in the shops, in the windows. And always women were coming in and out of the stores. And, it was like very much public, I would say. And I never really thought much about it at the time. But when I was working at Souktel, my co-founder and I, Nicola, she was also a project manager there at the same time. But we've known each other for maybe 10 years now. And we were kind of thinking, like, we're working at this pretty good company, we're making good money. But it just didn't seem like it was enough. And it didn't seem like this was what I was meant to do, maybe. And
whose idea was it first then?
We were sitting, I remember this very specifically. We were sitting in the car together. I was dropping her off at her apartment, and we were just thinking, like, because we had a lot of friends that were starting startups, and we were like, why don't we just do that? I mean, we literally did not have business backgrounds. And we didn't know what we wanted to do, but we knew that we wanted to start something together. And we knew that we wanted to do something that actually, like, impacted women in some way. And so then we started brainstorming so many ideas, and we kind of came up with this idea of being a place or a space that brings brands, sizes, and styles to the region that don't exist, and creating something that's inclusive. Because when we were talking to other women before we launched, surveying women, they were always telling us that like, to find a decent bra, they had to travel abroad, or they had to go somewhere else, or they had to get someone to get it for them, and they never found things regionally.
And so, which strikes me as odd. So for a region that's so well known for its sales in lingerie, how come up until now it was so difficult to find these different ranges and styles? How come no one's tapped the market already?
I think what was available and still is available in the market is kind of like what's always been available. And it's not always maybe the best quality. Yes, it's very much celebrated, and people buy lingerie maybe because, there's this big emphasis on getting married and being married in Middle Eastern cultures. But, it wasn't like, there isn't this wide variety of good quality, like everyday things that you need in your life as a woman. And that was kind of the area that we wanted to tap into.
And you also mentioned inclusivity. So again, talk me through a little bit more about what you mean exactly by that.
The sizes available in the market. So okay, for example, there's Victoria's Secret in the Gulf. It's it's in Saudi Arabia. It's in several countries. But the largest underwear size there is XL. And I found it ridiculous because, these women really, really like the brand, but, I think they're not wearing the right size. And typically over 60% of our customers are ordering sizes large and up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the majority of the market is actually catered to much larger sizes, and yet those sizes don't exist amongst retail brands.
Yes, and so in the malls, you go to these stores, and there's just not a big size selection, and I just found it crazy because people do want to shop there, they do want to wear these products, but the variety is limited. And so that was like one of the things that really pushed us to make something where we're not just bringing good quality products, but we're really focusing on that fit aspect and bringing products that actually fit you properly.
So you're sitting in the car with your co-founder, whose name is
Nicola.
So you're sitting in the car with your future co-founder, Nicola. You're thinking, right, we want to start a startup as well. You're brainstorming ideas. You fall upon the idea of lingerie. Then what happens?
So then we said, what do we do with our job? Like, we both work full time. But we agreed that it wasn't the right time to quit because we needed to make sure we had money, and we needed to make sure that we had money for the business. So actually we came up with the idea, but we did not launch it for a long time.
And what stopped you? Was that the job? Was that worries?
It was a number of things. It was, the job played somewhat of a role, but it was more about just having the experience. Like, this was the first time that I felt super serious about sticking to something. And I think in the past, that was what differentiated me with my previous jobs. I did them short term, and they were great experiences, and I learned a lot, but I didn't see myself staying in it for several years. And this was the first time where I thought to myself, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right. And so we just didn't want to rush into it and, have it just fall apart so quickly and be a disaster. So we wanted to, do things right. And we started getting mentorship from a couple of friends that already launched businesses, or professors that were teaching business in local universities around us, and just started to gather advice on what it is that we need to do to launch an online business. So then we decided that we should do a detailed market analysis and understand the market that we wanted to target, because we still didn't know a lot about it. So for us, we just wanted to make sure that we were doing enough research to be, somewhat knowledgeable of the business that we were launching.
Before you take this huge risk and go with it. Yeah.
And so we were doing everything ourselves. It was just my co-founder and I. We saw that, you can have an online store on Shopify, or, one of these websites where you can build a website yourself. So we did that. And we learned about different lingerie trade shows going on around the world. And we went to a trade show in New York called Curve, which happens every single year. And that was our exposure into the world of lingerie and manufacturing and just kind of understanding this whole product category. So, we met with hundreds of brands and suppliers, and it was one of the coolest experiences, because this was something that we had been thinking about for several months now. And this was our chance to actually get out there and see what it's all about. And so we met with all of these brands, and at that point we hadn't launched yet. Actually, we were still kind of
debating it.
Yeah. And we wanted to make the relationships with those brands before and make sure that what we were bringing to the region, it's something that we wanted to stand behind. So we saw so many, like we met so many interesting people, and we like people that also really believed in the same mission as us about a brand that's inclusive and really supports all women for all stages of her life. So it was a great experience. I mean, that's when we said to ourselves, like, yeah, like, let's do this,
Yes.
like, let's go
Okay,
for
so
it.
that was your pivotal moment where we're like, okay, we're going to quit our jobs, we're going to put our savings into this. You launched the website, and just to clarify to everybody, so Ken's Women is an online platform where you sell different brands of lingerie.
Mhm.
What does Ken's mean?
So Ken's means treasure in Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
And we came up with that because we said to ourselves, like, when you find a really good bra, it's kind of like treasure, and you tend to be very loyal to the brand, and you tend to go back to the same brand and get the same exact bra, because maybe your bra wears out after 6 months or so. And so we said, these pieces in your drawer, in your closet are super special and treasured to many women. And so, yeah, we said it's like finding treasure.
And so I saw they're delivered and packaged absolutely beautifully. It's a real kind of experience for somebody to receive this product and open it up. So I can see now why you've called it Ken's. And with your co-founder, did you find it easy to split the roles? Who does what? Is one of you more of the creative? Is the other one more analytical? Has it been easy to work with Nicola?
Yeah, I don't think I could I don't know, but I don't think I could actually do it with anyone else. Some people say, oh, it's not good to start a business with one of your best friends, but for us, we were just like each other's support unit so much, that we were there for each other in such difficult times, like in our personal lives, but then, also like launching this business together and doing it together. So it was, it's been an extremely rewarding journey doing it with her. So yeah, and it's funny, we just have naturally gravitated to different roles. She started learning how to use Photoshop herself, and she started like managing the creative side of things, and making the banners for the website, and like different templates for Instagram, and those were things that I just didn't want to figure out. Like, I just found a hard time figuring out, but she was really interested in figuring it out, and she was always appealed, like she found that more appealing. And for me, I kind of did more of the analytical stuff, like just kind of like the fundraising and the like all the finances and the operations, and once I started learning Excel, I actually enjoyed it. And which is weird, and also just kind of like creating, like right now we have our key performance indicator dashboard, and I'm obsessed with that, and that's like my thing that I constantly check and update, and just kind of like overview of the health of the business and the direction that we're going in.
Right.
So those are the things that I've kind of gravitated towards.
Okay. But before you've got to a KPI dashboard, you've launched in 2017. It's just the two of you to begin with.
Yes.
And you're self-funded up until that point. First reaction from the market is pretty good. You're focused on Saudi Arabia as the largest market. That's correct.
Yes.
And you start to bring some people on to help support the business.
Yes.
Then what happens around 18 months in?
So I should also backtrack a bit. So when we launched in 2017, there weren't a lot of funds or investors in Palestine, and at the time we were in talks with one investor basically, and they decided to invest in us like a seed amount, at our seed stage, and that was kind of to just really help us launch and to get going and to really see if the business is viable and how the market will react. So they're called Ibtikar, and they invested in us, and then kind of like, we were figuring things out. We had now a team of 4 people. So me, Nicola, and we hired 2 other women, actually. One was doing sales and customer service, and the other one was doing logistics, following up with the logistics and shipping and social media, so posting on our Instagram and Facebook. And it was going fine, but we weren't experiencing so much growth. We weren't experiencing like acceleration in one direction, and things were staying steady, and we were receiving good feedback from customers. They really liked our products, but we felt that we still hadn't reached a large amount of customers, and we were kind of stuck, actually. So maybe it was like the end of 2018. We were at a crossroads where we weren't sure what to do. We weren't sure if it was something that we wanted to continue doing. We actually weren't able to find investment at the time, and
and is that sorry, and you weren't able to find investment at the time? Is that because it's a regional problem, or was it the category, or was it female entrepreneurs?
I think it's a variety of things. I think, regionally, one might think that it's hard to access capital, but I find that that's not true anymore. But at the time, I wasn't well educated in knowing that there were other opportunities to get that capital, basically. So I was only looking around me. I wasn't really exploring other places where maybe we would find support in other places, and basically we were in a really difficult position because we weren't sure if we continued, we were going to have the money to continue and to pay salaries for everyone. So we said, we actually had this serious conversation, and we actually said, no, we don't want to give up. This is something that we've already worked so hard on. Why throw it away just because we're at this difficult moment in our journey, and so and
that's what kept you going, the fact that you had already invested so much that you weren't ready to give up. That was what kept you going.
Yeah, exactly. We were just why give it up? Yes, we've gained all of this experience. We've learned a lot of new skills. We could apply it elsewhere. We could apply for jobs, but it would just feel so
premature,
devastating. Yeah, and devastating that we would just be giving it up, because we've reached this rock on along our path, and so we said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to listen to maybe what other people are saying around us, telling us oh, maybe you should consider, just closing shop, or, not really finding the support that we needed. And so we started doing extensive research, and we found that there were all of these programs launching regionally, accelerator programs, where they were affiliated with pretty good investment companies, and they would help accelerate your business, give you mentorship and training, and invest a little bit of money into your business. So we actually applied to several of these programs. We had no idea what to expect, but we got interviews with all of them. And we got accepted into, I think, 2 out of the 3 programs that we applied to. And it was kind of wow, other people out there believe in what we're doing. They believe in our business. They believe in us as individuals and entrepreneurs, and they think that this business has the potential to actually be something one day.
And what were these two accelerator programs?
So one is it's with 500 Startups. It's 500 Startups is a big investment company based in San Francisco, but their whole thing, similar to Seedstars, is really focusing on entrepreneurs in emerging markets. And so they had launched a program in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with the MISC Foundation, in partnership with the MISC Foundation there. So basically, it was a 12-week program. They invest some money into your business, force and equity, but every single week they bring in different mentors from different companies globally. So they brought in experts from Facebook and from Google and Snapchat, and like very, very senior qualified people that wanted to come and help new entrepreneurs, basically. And the other program we applied to was called Flat 6 Labs in Bahrain. And it was also, it has a very good reputation. But for us, we were more interested in doing the one in Saudi because it made the most sense business-wise. Like, this is the market that we're operating in. We need to be on the ground. We need to be understanding Saudi women better. And so we just thought, wow, like, this is the perfect time, the perfect opportunity. And
at any point, have you come across a feeling that, you're female entrepreneurs and therefore you're being treated differently? We have a lot of cases, particularly in the US, where a lot of female entrepreneurs complain about this. Have you experienced anything like this in the Middle East at all?
It's funny. I've been asked this question before. I think I'm pretty lucky to be here, like to be in the Middle East as an entrepreneur, as opposed to being a woman entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. I think in the States, for example, like there's more of this startups and entrepreneurship. I mean, yes, globally, yes, it's much more of a male-dominated field. There's definitely this like boys' club mentality in the US, and in the Middle East, Middle Eastern parents, like, they've always encouraged their children, boys and girls, to study engineering, for example. Like, the number of women that study engineering in universities, at least in Palestine, is super high. And there's never been this distinction that, I'm a girl, so it's not a field that I should be studying. It's always like, it's actually exactly the opposite. Like, they want women to study engineering, and women, there's just so many that are like graduating every single year in those fields, actually, in math and science fields specifically.
So not at all then. You've, regardless of gender, you've been treated the same by investors.
I think investors like the idea of supporting women entrepreneurs. I think it's something that, maybe looks good for their investors. Maybe, I don't know. But those aren't the investors that we have on board with us.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about the people that you have on board?
Yeah, so basically, so it's Ibtikar. It's 500 Startups, the program that we did last year, and it's so now we're actually raising money in order to get us to our Series A round, and so we're basically like pre-Series A right now, and so we're really focusing on bringing on angel investors. We're not reaching out to institutional venture capital, like traditional VC funds. And this makes much more sense for us. Like, we want people on board that are going to like have the same beliefs as us, have the same vision as us. And that's who we surround ourselves with. I mean, we've been in countless situations, maybe with VCs that are predominantly like male run, And I always felt like they were talking down to me, and kind of like one investor I talked to recently told me, so, you have some homework to do. Like, just his tone, it just drove me mental. And I was, there's no way that I could actually work with someone like that, in a very serious setting that involves, thousands of dollars. I've always been someone that challenges people, or challenges different views, and a feminist as well. So I just don't think that, that would fit or align with our company value or cultures.
Right. But those type of stories do still exist in the Gulf area.
And they exist everywhere,
Yeah.
I think it exists everywhere. It's not just in the US or just in the Middle East, or more in the US or more in the Middle East. I think it's something that women deal with in a number of fields, not just in tech or entrepreneurship, in every field, but it's about like staying true to yourself, and your principles, and what you believe in, and what your vision is for the business, why you see yourself doing this.
I actually want to bring you back. You mentioned earlier on that you're looking for investors that have the same interests and share the same vision as you. What is Ken's Women's vision then for women in the Middle East?
Yes. So basically, we started Ken's with the idea that we wanted to bring a brand that was inclusive for all women across different stages of her life, and again, all sizes and all bodies. That was something that was extremely important to my co-founder and I. So when we were looking for the right suppliers to carry on the website, we had that in mind, and we wanted to work with brands that had similar visions to the vision that we shared, the same principles. And so now, I'm really happy to say that the brands that we're carrying on the website, we carry a very extensive size range. And some of these brands, or actually all of them, you can't find on any other website in the region. So we are the first to bring these brands and products and sizes to the region.
So you have exclusivity, which is, I guess, really important for you as a leading lingerie online platform.
Yeah, we're actually still working on exclusivity because we have to reach certain sales with the brands. But we are, getting closer to that point. And also for us, I haven't talked about it much, but we also wanted to find ways to use technology in order to help women find their right size. So we developed the first size calculator in Arabic, where women can enter their measurements, and then we give them a video tutorial on how to measure yourself properly, and they use our calculator, and then they can shop products based on their specific size. And we launched that last year. And
do you feel like that's been a turning point? Because I see now you've got over 130,000 followers across your social media platforms. So you've got a huge user base. Has that been one of the real building blocks?
Absolutely. I think some of the best performing content that we put out on our Instagram is content around the topic of fit and how to measure yourself and how to find your right size, because there was never before content like this in Arabic, actually. So, you would Google it and you wouldn't find a lot of resources or information out there. So we're not just an e-commerce platform, but we're also a place that provides tools and resources to help women find their correct size. So we have our size calculator, we have our style quiz, which we recently launched, which is a series of a few questions where we ask women like what brands do they typically like to shop at, what is the size that they think they are, and then we give them product recommendations based on that. And because of all of this, we've collected so many data points, thousands of data points on our customers, so that we can now make much better informed decisions on the sizes, the colors, the styles that people are looking for regionally.
So what's the what's the bestseller product that you've got in the region?
You might laugh. It's actually a beige bustier style bra, which has straps where you can wear the straps in several different ways, but it's like something that you would wear under.
I get that.
Yeah. It's something that you would wear for, formal occasions or something for like dresses, but it's like very form-fitting and it's very flattering, and it's a nude color, so it works with everything.
Right.
And that's our number one best-selling product right now.
And your suppliers come from where exactly? You mentioned you went to New York to source them. Are they mainly American brands?
So they are American and Turkish.
And is there any form of precedence of in the Middle East of like preferring to buy brands from America or from Turkey or?
Yeah, they do like this idea. Like if we say like this is an American brand, they do like that, idea of shopping a brand that's from America. Or same with Turkey, because Turkey is known for having very good quality cotton. And so our pajamas and our robes and stuff are Turkish, and we always specify that this is Turkish. And that is very appealing to people. And also in the Middle East, people like to watch Turkish soap operas.
Okay.
And they also see some of the styles of what women are wearing on the soap operas. They really like that. So we actually carry some of these styles, like different like robes and nightgowns and satin material. So we know that that's also appealing to women in the Gulf.
Great. So you mentioned Saudi Arabia is your number one market, it's your largest market. How has it been in terms of being able to distribute to Saudi Arabia? Has it been easy to take payments?
Yeah, actually, because it's such a huge market, they already have so many established payment gateways online. It made the most sense to start with Saudi. It was the largest market. There's already so much online shopping that's happening there. So, even though we didn't have a lot of experience with the market before we launched, we knew that was the market that we needed to be in. And unfortunately, like having a startup in Palestine, it's difficult to actually target the Palestinian market because we don't have payment gateways here. And because of the political situation, there's a lot of hurdles and different problems that you have to face logistically and on the ground, that it didn't make sense for us to target it as a market. And also because it's extremely small, and Saudi Arabia has now maybe almost 40 million people. So, it just kind of made more sense to do that.
So the team is based in Ramallah. You're 5 people now, correct?
Yes.
And then the stock and distribution is managed from where?
So the stock, we're working with a logistics partner based in Riyadh, and they manage our inventory, our shelving, and they are connected with about 15 different couriers that do the last mile delivery for us.
Right.
And we were actually working with a different company before we worked with this company, which we had a very bad experience with, which I think also affected things operationally for the business. So
you worked with somebody else beforehand,
yes,
and it was a bit of a disaster and you needed to change.
Yes, but at that time, that was our only option.
Okay, so what do you mean? Like, what were they doing? That was
they were doing the same thing, but they were just so unorganized. And we found out later on, we actually visited the warehouse, and we found out later on that they were putting different product categories together in the same bin and not storing them properly. And so it caused a lot of the products to get dirty and dusty, and we lost a lot of value.
Had you done a site visit beforehand?
No, that was the problem. So that's something I would highly recommend.
If
you're doing e-commerce and you're selling clothes, you need to know where it's going to be. You need to know what shelf it's going to be on. You need to know how the employees at the warehouse are working with your products. Are they wearing gloves? Are they not wearing gloves? So it was
I have a beauty brand, and I also did exactly the same thing. I went and visited warehouses. For me, what's very important as well is temperature control. So yes, I absolutely recommend going to visit the different warehouses, seeing the site, meeting with the people who are going to be handling your products, because especially in lingerie, which is so delicate and it's such a personal item, you really want them to make sure they're taking the best care. But you found this new partner now. You're very happy with them. So you found this new partner. And so what's the future for Ken's? You know, you're growing 20% month on month. You're looking for investment. What's the next stage of the business?
So for us, you know, we've grown this amazing team of people. I'm so lucky to be working with the people that I'm working with now. Like, I'm so happy that we didn't give up and we didn't close shop, and we just pushed through and we got through some very difficult times. So for us, it's about just continuing to grow. We want to grow and scale very quickly over the next 12 to 18 months. And of course, that's very...
And how are you planning on doing that? Is that through increased advertising? Is that through new product launches? What are your strategies for growth? Is that new market entries?
Definitely new market entries. So we want to expand across the entire Gulf GCC companies. So we want to, like, we have a presence in all of those.
Sorry, just to explain to everyone what GCC is.
So I think it stands for Gulf Cooperative Council, but basically it's just Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Bahrain, and Oman, I believe. So you know, having a presence in the Gulf, because they do have the highest purchasing power out of the rest of the Middle East and North Africa, and then eventually expanding to the rest of the Middle East and North Africa, and eventually we see ourselves going down different verticals and entering different regions as well, like perhaps maybe Southeast Asia, Indonesia, you know, a brand that tailors to the style and preferences of different places that are similar to the Middle East preferences, I would say.
And how have you reached 130,000 users so far?
I think it's really about the content that we put out there. Last year we saw our growth on Instagram. It was organic. You know, we didn't pay for our followers. We basically were featured on the Discover page, and a couple of our posts, especially, they were about the best-selling product that I told you about earlier, and the different occasions that you can wear it for, and you know how it's such a versatile product actually. And after
the
that,
power of social media is incredible. So you're featured on the Discover page, and suddenly you see a huge surge in followers.
Yeah, we were getting at the time over 1,000 new followers every day.
Wow.
And
thank you, Instagram.
It was, I mean, it was just incredible, and just incredible to see the community and women interacting with our posts and interacting with our content and taking
and you learn so much from that, you know, from what their needs are, what they like and dislike. It's an incredibly powerful free tool.
And we've also just become so much more engaged with our followers. Like, you know, we ask so many survey questions, we run contests every single week, you know, really to get them engaged with us. And I mean, it's working. Like it is an amazing tool that, you know, can be extremely beneficial for your business. And so we've been doing everything in-house. We create our own posts. And I think that's what makes it more real and authentic, is because they know that they're talking to people behind the brand. You know, we're not just, you know, like we're not just constantly trying to sell. And I think that's what makes us stand apart. And I think that's why we get customers coming back to us, and we keep getting all of these followers. And you know, I think they believe in what it is that we're doing and selling.
Sounds like you've got an really exciting couple of years ahead. Still so many avenues to explore. Thank you so much, Christina, for sharing that with us. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first question is, what impact do you intend to have with Ken's?
I would say one of the biggest impacts on a personal level is actually creating opportunities for others. Like now we've grown the business where we're 6 people, 7 soon actually. And, you know, the fact that we've given this opportunity for someone else is so completely rewarding. Like, my co-founder and I have created jobs that are directly impacting people and changing their lives. And I'm so happy that I'm actually a part of that and I'm able to do that. That's something that I've said from day one, is that, if I can help build a brand that has its roots in Palestine and creates all of these different job opportunities for people, I think it has so much more impact than like the traditional route, or maybe what I studied, like doing something that's more traditional or more typical of ways to make change or to have impact. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I think entrepreneurship is one of those ways.
How, so you mentioned you've got 6 people working for you and you're about to employ a 7th person. Could you refer a book or a podcast or a documentary? Would it be Speed Sisters?
Definitely Speed Sisters as the documentary. I'm really obsessed with the Girl Boss radio podcast. I listen to it all the time. It's hosted by Sophia Amoroso, who launched the e-commerce site Nasty Gal a few years ago and then went bankrupt. And, she wrote a book called Girl Boss, and she went through so much in her life, and people like that overcome, that have so many challenges, are extremely inspiring to me. And maybe a book, I'm currently reading Delivering Happiness for the founder of Zappos. Okay. And it's just really, really interesting to hear about his journey and how he launched the business, and how he just kind of did so many things. He did a million things before he actually launched the business. And then he was able to exit the business right after the recession of 2008. So it's just really interesting, especially now when we're going through such a difficult time in the world. It's uncertain, and there's a lot of questions, especially for entrepreneurs, of what the future holds for us, if there's going to be investment for us. Are our businesses going to continue to grow, given the circumstances of everything and of the virus that's spreading? And so it's interesting to read that book at a time that we're going through right now. And
you mentioned the coronavirus and having an impact on business. A lot of DTC businesses are actually seeing growth. I saw Blue Apron yesterday posted 148% growth. Are you seeing any form of growth in the last couple of weeks as a result?
So our numbers for March are actually they're expected to be higher than January and February. And I think it's because, when you are spending a lot of time at home, you do tend to online shop, and you tend to, just be online, obviously, a lot of the time. And I've also read that during recessions, lingerie is one product category that wasn't typically affected, just because, you do tend to end up buying clothes that you're going to wear more at home or in privacy, as opposed to more like professional attire.
I also read an article that investors are a lot more prone to invest in D2C businesses at the moment, also as a result of bricks and mortar stores closing. So this could actually be a very fruitful time for Ken's.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited for what the future holds, but we do want to make sure that we're delivering still like good content and a resource for women out there. So that's our plan.
What are your company and personal values?
Starting Ken's has been like raising a child. I mean, I don't have children. I don't have any children yet, but it's like you go through so many different stages. And, I would say our company values is like to be extremely hardworking, to always put the customer first, to really, really focus on customer service. And I think that's something that really sets us apart from other regional brands, is that we really place a lot of emphasis on our customer, and we talk to them, we chat with them, we're always there for them, and also holding others accountable. Like we're also sometimes a remote team, and we have to depend on others on the team, and I trust the team so much. I mean, if something were to happen, they could manage and they could operate the business without me being there, and really creating that autonomy. That's something that's a personal belief for myself and for the company, of giving autonomy to everyone, and trust that they have the ability to get the job done.
Okay, thank you. So what word, quote, phrase describes you best?
It's just really never giving up. If it seems like it's going to be so tough, just finding opportunities and being a hustler, and finding ways to problem solve. And I think that's something that all entrepreneurs are constantly doing on a daily basis, 20 times a day, is problem solving. And I like that. I like the challenge. I excel when I'm challenged, and I feel like having a business and always having to discover things and figuring things out is what pushes me and continues to keep me going.
So problem solver.
Maybe.
Final question. Who are your heroes? Definitely,
I would say other women that launched businesses before me, that grew very successful companies. What's her name? Sarah Blakely, who she started Spanx.
Yeah.
Just her journey and how she was rejected so many times. I think there's like something that entrepreneurs are addicted to, is this like rejection, maybe, that they just can't say, they can't accept no, and they just continue to fight through it and push through it, and get to a point where someone will say yes. And I think that's what makes an entrepreneur is really the fight. So people like her, like Sophia Amoroso, just women that have struggled and persevered and came through and overcome and overcome so many different obstacles, and now they're paving the way for other younger women out there.
Well, thank you, Christina. It's been lovely to speak with you and learn more about Ken's Woman, and we wish you all the best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to our hero's journey, and subscribe now for more stories on Seedstars podcast.